Evening, guys. Welcome to another devotional. Today we're going to be in Philippians chapter 2, verses 1 and 2, which says, "Is there any encouragement from belonging to Christ? Any comfort from his love? Any fellowship together in the Spirit? Are your hearts tender and compassionate? Then make me truly happy by agreeing wholeheartedly with each other, loving one another, and working together with one mind and purpose." So Paul's speaking here, but reflecting God's heart as well. That we, as Christians, are to love one another and to work together with one mind and one purpose. And Paul follows these verses 1 and 2, with a little bit more about how to kind of go about these things. But today, I kind of just want to hone in on what it is that Paul is saying and why that's really an important thing, or why it might be something for us to take a special attention to. Because unity is an important factor in not just simply life, but especially so in the Christian life. You think about how many projects you've done in life, whatever it is, whether it's piecing together a kitchen, or whether it's carrying the shopping, or any of those, whether it be small projects or whether it be larger projects. How many of those would have been accomplished at all, or accomplished in the same amount of time or effectiveness if it was just us doing it alone, or us doing it actually together in a group, in unity? And the reality is things go a lot better when we can work together in unity. If we're to go against the flow of this world, living lives that, as Paul says, are examples of faith, love, and purity, and as Micah says, are humble, marked by just living, and filled with mercy, then how do we expect to do that? How do we expect to go against the flow that the rest of the world is doing, and that the minority are saying, I'm going to do differently because God says he wants me to do differently? And how are we going to do that differently? It's only possible to do that through the power that Christ gives us. And this is the key to the unity that Paul is talking about. Because if we're not united with Christ, if we're not walking in the Spirit, if we're not looking to Christ first, then it makes this unity that Paul's talking about, it makes living lives that God calls us to a lot trickier. So primarily, we want to go to God, and we want to be united with him, because then that is also the glue, not just to help us live the lives that God calls us to, but it's also the glue that unites us all together, that unites us as family, as brothers and sisters in Christ. And then together we can encourage each other in the lives that God has called us to live. And Paul says not to stop meeting together, but instead to meet as often as possible. So instead of arguing over little things, trivial things that really don't matter in eternity's sake, that in 100 years from now, if any of us are still alive, that we can turn around and say, you know what, that was worth arguing about. Or in reality, whether we turn around and say, don't even know why I bothered arguing about that. It really didn't matter. But that instead we would be united in Christ. And that's what we're called to. To not be glued together, to not be united by just simply, common interests, which those are great, those are fantastic, but that our primary glue that binds us together is Christ. That then, as Christ renews us to be more conformed to his image, each and every one of us then are united together with the same mind of Christ, towards the purpose that God is calling all of us to, which is to glorify him in our lives, to spread the gospel. That in each and every little thing that we seek to put him first and to live our lives with him as Lord of our lives. So, what is it that unites us? It's Christ. He is what gives us that one mind and that one purpose. So, for more on how to go about doing that, I encourage you to go and read the rest of chapter 2. But for now, let's not forsake meeting together. And when we meet together, let's not just take it for granted and say, oh yeah, cool. I met with other Christians on Sunday, I'm good. But to actually take full advantage of that. To remember that this is our eternal family. That just as we want to get along with our parents or our brothers and sisters who, we've been born with and raised up with, just as we want to get along with them, we should so seek a relationship with our brothers and sisters in Christ. To say, hey, I'm going to be with you for the rest of eternity, Lord willing. So, let us actually meet together. Let us spend time together. And let us not forsake meeting together. And let's encourage each other in what is good. Let's not argue about trivial things. But actually, let's be united with that one mind and one purpose that God calls us to. So, God bless you guys. And have a great evening.